How's it going? Hey. Just got handed a hot mic. So, how's it going? Thank you so much for being here. I've been talking about a different movie for the last 5 months or so. Frankenstein is a. No, but really, it means a lot. This show that I got to make with Justin Kurzel is probably the thing that I'm most proud of in my whole sort of life as an actor, and it was a dream to work with him since I was 14. I think he's one of our most important filmmakers and artists, and I think this show was outrageously underviewed. So I'm really happy that you're here. And all I will say is, it works as a memory piece. So if you can watch all of it, because I know they're only showing one episode today, it won't make a lot of sense unless you watch sort of the whole thing. I think it has its effect works with its sort of like totality of the whole show. But yeah, it was a labor of love, and I'm really, really, really proud of it. So I thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy it.
He is a BAFTA and ACTA Award nominee. He's having a great year. You can catch his stunning turn in Frankenstein in theaters now. Still, I doubt even his biggest supporters were prepared for his beautiful, stunning work in The Narrow Road to the Deep North. Please join me in welcoming Jacob Elordi. Good. Thank you so much for being here.
G'day.
I don't know if you could hear all the nice things I was saying about you, but you're having a great year. Oh, just that, after this, they can go see Frankenstein. See the other work.
We've seen them.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Yeah?
3 times.
Come on, baby. In the theaters?
I love the feature.
In the cinema?
Yes, in the
Yes.
Come on.
People are actually going to theaters.
You were great.
Thank you very much.
I'm actually jealous that people got to see this like on a screen in a theater here, because it's such a beautiful series.
It is. It's doomed to be on your television.
But it holds up on TV. That's the great thing. It really
does,
does.
yeah.
Like story above all.
Yeah, there's a real poetry to it, I think, which I'm really proud of.
That's what I said. I said this series is like a poem, and I meant that as a compliment. Yes, because that can also be code for like.
Boring.
Yes, exactly. Slow burn. If someone says slow burn, get worried.
Yeah. I hope it's not too much of a slow burn. And I think where it is slow and where it does burn is where the sort of memory play of the piece pays off in the 5th episode.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
It works as one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know this is based on an acclaimed novel by Richard Flanagan. Was it a story you were familiar with, or did this come to you as a series?
I wasn't familiar with it. I was familiar with Justin Kurzel, who directed all 5 episodes. He is an extraordinary filmmaker, and he made this movie when I was 14 called Snowtown. And I don't know if anyone here has seen Snowtown. It's a sort of quite a small Australian film, but it is fucking excellent. And if you have the time, go home and get that movie and watch it. Because
It's on Tubi right now.
It's on Tubi? Yes. You know, Guillermo always goes, Tubi. Tubi. He's like, Tubi. But I watched that movie when I was maybe 15, and it was so guttural and searing, and it just burned itself into my brain. And my whole life, sort of growing up wanting to be an actor, I wanted to be in a Justin Kurzel movie. And then, I think maybe 2 years ago now, I got an email from Justin with a letter saying that he wanted to work together, and then a copy of the book, and that was the first time I had read the book. And it just so happened that it's my top 3 sort of favorite books I've ever read.
Because we were talking earlier about how I assume all Australians know each other. And there's just like, a club you hang out in, watch Crocodile Dundee or something.
Yeah.
But you had never
That's exactly what we
met.
did.
was such a dated
I drank
reference.
like lots of beers. Yeah.
Foster's, right?
No.
No.
Do you know they make Fosters in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I did. I know that real Australians hate Foster's.
You don't hate it. It just tastes like. Yes.
There's an old Monty Python joke. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Oh, it's like having sex in a boat. It's effing close to water.
It's exactly right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
And they definitely said effing. So had you had any communication with him? He just reached out to you out of the blue? Because
No, I hadn't. I had. I'm trying to think what I was doing at that time. It was around the same time that I got given the role in Priscilla. So they were working with Sophia and working with him kind of overlapped each other, and so it was just like, and from that point to now has just been an explosion of excitement that I can't really contain or comprehend.
I mean, this has everything because it's a beautiful story. It's so well made, and you're working with amazing people. But in general, what attracts you to a project? Is it the story itself, the character, the people?
For me, it's the filmmaker. I'm as I'm sure everyone is here, I'm madly in love with the movies, and I have been since I remember my grandmother's TV kind of glowing as I was fiddling with something over here. I've been enamored by moving pictures and by the whole world of cinema. So for me, it's always filmmaker first, because they're the people that I trust to facilitate and continually breathe life into that dream and that thing that I've loved since I was small. So when Justin Kurzel writes, it doesn't matter what the script is to me, or if Paul Schrader or Sophia Coppola or Emerald Fennell, if they give you something and they give you the opportunity to play in their creative vision, in what they see for a movie, I'll always say yes. I just want to be in service to those artists.
Did he have any idea that you were a fan of his, or was that just a happy coincidence? I mean, you want to play it cool, but at the same time.
I think it was a happy coincidence, because he works closely with Sean Grant, who wrote Narrow Road, and they were coming up with Dorigo, and they didn't really know who could play him younger. And Sean had just seen Euphoria, and he said to the producers, he said, "What about Jacob?" And they asked if he could do an Australian accent. How's his accent? And then Justin said, "That's the best part."
Really?
Yeah, so this was at a time when people didn't really know if I was Australian or American.
Yes.
And then just by chance, I happened to be Australian. And fit the description, I think, sort of quite well. And yeah, so he wasn't familiar with, maybe with Euphoria, but not in the way I would have liked him to be familiar with my work.
I mean, I'm actually trying to think, have you ever gotten to use your accent on screen? Well, this isn't your accent, is it? I mean, it's Australian, but different.
It's different. I mean, there's a period to it, and there's a poetic quality to Dorigo, which sort of comes through in the book in a lot of ways. So there is I can't really talk the way I talk in this, because it would seem a little bit out of place, I think. But this is the second time I've worked with my accent. The first time was with Stephen Elliott, who directed Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. He directed this film called Flammable Children with Kylie Minogue and Guy Pearce and Asher Keddy when I was 17 on the Gold Coast, and I played a lifeguard that just wore a red Speedo. And I think I had 2 or 3 lines as I was sleeping with the whole town in the context of this like 70s swinger film. So that was my first foray into Australian cinema. And then I actually did something with Paul Hogan.
You really did?
Yeah.
You met Crocodile Dundee?
I met Crocodile
See, they all
Dundee.
do know each other, I knew it.
I met him in Malibu, and we talked about sharks and beer. And then this would be technically the third thing, but really it's the first time that I was able to perform at home in something that I, really cared about and really felt like was an important part of our cinema at home.
That's the thing, it's it's a universal story, but it's very Australian. There must be it must be really cool to get to do that.
It is, and this particular story I mean, the author, Richard Flanagan, who wrote the novel, his father was on the Burma Railway, and this is about his father and a lot of those men, and the writer Sean Grant, his grandfather was on the Burma Railway. So it's something that kind of really closely affects our country, and a lot of people have lived with this sort of the shadow of this war looming over them. And the Australian effort in World War II isn't sort of greatly documented in any real way. So it was really nice, and it was really nice too not to just make a war movie. You know, it was nice to make something that was actually about love and memory and how we remember. And I think that Justin did an amazing job of stitching the whole thing together so that it almost feels like you're in a fever dream. You know.
I'm curious about that because I don't know how much out of sequence you shot, but you know, you're kind of playing two different roles here. You're playing him pre and post-war, and where he's two different people. Technically, there's three of them. I don't know if you talked to Kieran Hines at all about you know, mimicking each other in any way.
No, we didn't. I mean, yeah. So I shot Dorogo pre-war in like November, December. And then we broke for 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks to lose. I'd already started losing weight, and then we shot pre-war, and then we had 7 weeks to go into a boot camp, and we all sort of stopped eating and did like a training program and lost all the weight. And then by the time we came back from that 7 weeks, we basically got in those train cars. We got driven to those train cars, and they didn't show us the set. And they opened the doors and started filming, and we were in the death camp. And Justin would do these extraordinary 20-minute long takes. He had built the death camps like Shakespeare's round. So there was something happening in each corner of the camp, and he would play the screenplay, different scenes from the screenplay, at different times. There wasn't really a shooting schedule. And Sam Chiplin, the DP, he would just roam around with the camera. So you'd start a scene over here for 5 minutes, and then he'd let you sort of improvise and walk around, and then I'd walk over to the medical tent, and the background would already be in there sort of dealing with some wounds, and we would pick up a scene there. And so somehow, in these extraordinarily long takes, Justin got what he needed and pieced together this thing, but it was always alive. It was never like a movie set where you were stopping, having a cappuccino. Like you were in the mud the whole time.
Not checking your cell phone between
No,
takes.
there was no phones, there was no reception, there was leeches. They had built this, like Dante's hell, they had built this mud pit. And we were sort of controlled by the guards, and that's where we stayed. And you know, we did sort of 5 weeks of that sort of intensive, which was incredible because it's not even remotely close to the real experience.
Yeah.
But everybody's earnestness and sincerity toward trying to tell the truth was so inspiring, and everyone from the grips to the actors to the producers, everybody was in that mud pit, and you know, trying to make it as sort of true as possible.
I mean, I have to imagine that all of that helps you as an actor, you know, to be in those costumes, to be in that immersive atmosphere. And I know it's acting, but at the same time, you know, you're putting your body and your mind through a lot going to these places. You know, was it challenging? Did you have a way to decompress at the end of the day?
I don't know. I'm torn between two things. I'm torn between Laurence Olivier saying, "Have you tried acting, darling?" And then I'm torn between Daniel Day-Lewis saying, "If I can only be Lincoln
Yeah.
for 6 months, then I'm going to be Lincoln every single day." You know, and I think I live somewhere in the middle of those two things. I try to. My life is in the movies, and my truth is on the screen, and I try to go to that place and get to that place every time that I play something, because it's the only way I can really scratch this itch that I have at the back of my head. But at the same time, I'm aware that it is only acting. So I think for me, it's incredibly cathartic going to those places. So in going to that place in myself is actually how I decompress. if that
Okay, yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like going into one of those break rooms and smashing everything and setting things on fire. Like that's what the creative process feels like for me. I go into a glass palace and I smash it down and I set fires and I piss on the walls and then I come out of it and I'm able to understand the world better and exist in it better, and I actually feel really calm after I've sort of put everything into this one thing, you know, in the hope of achieving some kind of a communal artistic goal, I guess.
I mean, it probably is really cathartic. And also you're not eating, so you're probably really tired.
Really tired. Yeah. Looking back on it, it's like a memory piece for me, because I remember moments of great agony. I remember moments of just like crying, laughing on the floor at my mum as she tried to like feed me. And I remember like smacking the food out of her hands. The whole thing is, it's confusing to me because I was so sort of hungry.
I mean, moms are always trying to feed us, but I bet specifically in this case, she was like, come on.
I remember we had so many conversations where she was like, Jacob, you have a job, like you can stop, you act now, you don't need to keep going like this. And I was like, oh, good.
I mean, whatever you're doing works, so I have no criticism, but I do think it's cool though, if I have this right, you broke just in time for Christmas, that's when you stopped eating?
Yeah.
That's so mean.
It was, it was tough because Christmas, I'm sure it's the same in America, but for us it's like ice cream, cake, and ham, and sausage sizzle, and steaks, and bread, and yeah.
Now I'm getting
I didn't do any of those. We didn't get to have any of that. I think I had water.
Please tell me you didn't go from shooting this into Frankenstein or vice versa?
Yeah.
No,
I
come
did. We were
Do a
in the
rom-com or something.
we were in the death camps shooting this about halfway through, so I had maybe 3 or 4 weeks left of filming, and then a very impatient Guillermo del Toro, I got an email from him, and it was for Frankenstein, and I was like, oh no, because I was like at the end of my sort of tether. The whole point was we were supposed to build our bodies back in a sort of safe way after filming. We were supposed to go into a program once we finished, and I was like, I'll read the script on the weekend, and I think it was a Wednesday, and I got an email, it was like, you need to read the script in the next hour. And I was like, oh, okay, and this is 100 and something pages.
Yeah, I was
my eyes are like blurring at this point. And I read the script, and it was one of the most beautiful things ever. And then I think I had to get up at 5 the next morning before work to talk to Guillermo on a FaceTime. And then we talked about the movie, and I had 6 excruciating days waiting to hear if I was going to be able to be the creature or not. And then on the 6th day, they said that you will play the creature, and that you need to go get your body scanned on your weekend off from the death camps, finish shooting, and then when you finish shooting, fly to Toronto and start pre-production on Frankenstein. And it was such a blessing, because I have this thing which sounds a little dicky, but I wrote it in my Frankenstein journal, and it was, this is probably the most sort of full sort of man that I've played, I think, in my short career. And he kind of dies at the end of this, whether it's spiritually or physically. He lives a full life, and then he dies. And I had this feeling that I died as Dorgo, and my body was at its most depleted, and I was able to kind of be reborn into the creature, which is, if you've seen the film, is infantile and nubile. And I actually got to build my body back physically, because we shot Frankenstein pretty much chronologically. I watched my body change in the prosthetics as the creature grew up and got his coat and ate food with the old man. I watched myself kind of expand and grow and feel stronger. So I weirdly, for me, these two, this and Frankenstein, will always be intertwined. And whilst I only had 4 weeks to get ready for Frankenstein, I also think the year that I spent prepping this and the 9 weeks that I spent shooting it were all sort of part of getting ready to play this other thing, you know. So it was kind of divine the way it all timed out.
It was, you spent a year prepping for this? Did you always know you'd have a year, or was it a matter of things getting postponed?
Yeah, because we didn't have a script when Justin offered me it. We had the book. And he asked if I wanted to sign on to the book, and I said absolutely. And so then for a year, him and Sean would write scripts and then send them to me, and then I'd write back, and then we'd go back and forth. And so I had that whole time to sort of start cutting weight and cutting the world away a little bit and trying to figure out how I could best exist in this sort of time period in this character, because he's quite different to how I am. I'm much more jittery. So finding that stillness and curating the way that I lived in a way that I could play it believably without feeling like I was playing this soldier. You know what I mean?
Well, that's something I'm curious about, because this is a character who's very internal in many ways, and there are times when he doesn't say much. And that's really hard as an actor. Actors love to use their words.
I love to talk. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me.
But did you welcome that in a way, or did you find it challenging, or both?
I welcomed it. I really welcomed it. Because I'm the kind of person that, as most people are, I think, you go home after a social interaction. Like today, I'll go home and I'll sit in the bar and I'll be like, why did I speak so much? Why did you say that? Why did you? You know, so to be able to actually start to live like him in my real life, I became quieter, and I wouldn't go home and have those conversations because I was really proud of how I presented myself. But the coolest part of him for me was he reminded me so much of my father, like so much. He was a blend of the poetic and sort of emotional side of him is very much me, and the sort of stoic, quiet, enduring, stone-like side of him is my dad. And I got to essentially be my dad, and when I watch the show back, I can see my dad
Really?
in so many moments, which is really quite special for me.
That's amazing. Everyone in this cast is fantastic,
Yeah.
but obviously so much of it hinges on your chemistry with Odessa Young, which is so wonderful as Amy. I think chemistry is such a weird thing, because sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can hate each other and it's still there. Was there any kind of like an early chemistry read, or were you ever put together before showing up on set?
No. I mean, well, no, yes. I'm trying to think. Kieran I didn't meet.
Okay.
Kieran I met on like the last day and we high-fived. And
Like passing the torch?
Yeah. And Justin just knew that we had a similar gaze or something like that. But with this, we had a 2-week period of rehearsals, which was like this. It felt like I was with John Cassavetes. Like Justin put us in a room with a couch and a bunch of coffee and a rug, and we just ripped the script up and rewrote it and played different versions of it and lay with each other and talked and looked at each other, and we immediately knew that we wanted to be a part of the same process. And Odessa Young is, I think she's probably one of the greatest living actors that we have. She is so good, and she's been good. She did a film in Australia called The Daughter, which came out before I even made movies, and she is a freak of nature. So I think we both came into this knowing what Justin Kurzel makes, knowing how we wanted to fit into his world, and knowing the kind of performance that we both want to do the same kind of performance. We both want to find something different and hopefully achieve something that's sincere and feels mostly real and is charged with some kind of electricity. So, and then Justin gave us the opportunity to do that. He doesn't change the lighting, he doesn't change the lens. When we were shooting, he would put us in a room together and put the camera on a table and just tell us to play. And we would be able to play for 20, 25 minutes, trying this scene this way or that way, you know.
I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen the whole series, but you're I was going to say you're replaced. Kieran Hines takes over your role. What was it like when you saw it for the first time? Because you don't know what they're shooting. I mean, you know the story, but like it's so emotional. Like even if that wasn't me playing that character, I mean, I was a mess. So I can only imagine how you felt.
Well, it actually felt like the closing of the whole thing, because I barely read. I think I read Kieran's sections of the script maybe 3 times, and then just sort of left it because that's my future. It has nothing to do with the present, and it broke my heart to see how much sadness. Just the shots of him sitting at his writing desk and looking out the window and hearing the birds, and then Justin's brother Jed in the score laps the birds in from the jungle, and realizing that no matter what, those memories will never leave him. The memories that I experienced will never leave him. And then Justin did this amazing shot at the end where young Dorogo's in the jungle, and he looks up, and old Dorogo is on the hill looking at him. And it's still like, to this moment, gives me chills to see that enduring trauma and to see it articulated in such a sort of moving way. And then also to see that Justin was right, the way that Kieran looked at the ocean is the same way that I looked at the ocean, and the fact that we didn't talk about that it wasn't discussed, that we weren't trying to mimic each other's voices or walks, the fact that it was, we naturally had the same understanding of the material and the longing in the material, and to know that Justin knew that before we filmed, to be a part of something like that is a really moving thing. You know?
That's amazing. I also actually, for lack of a better word, chemistry, your fellow prisoners of war, I bet you probably helped each other get through some of those tough days.
Yeah, I mean, I'll love each of them deeply for a really long time. Justin we did a lot of, Justin gave us a manifesto of things to do before we started filming. So we spent a lot of time together, going to museums and things like that. And we all had a beer the day before we started filming. And Justin got us in a circle, and he said, you know, it's going to be painful, but it's going to be incredibly rewarding. And I promise you, you will all have an experience with each other that's kind of beyond the normal human experience of friendship, and it'll be something that you carry with you for life. And to this day, I can't see one of those boys without sort of, we'll cry before we see each other, or if I watch the show or see something from the show, when Dorogo has to pick the 100 men in episode 3 and 4, I can't not have a full body sort of reaction, because it's true as well. That's the worst part. The show doesn't touch half of it, but this is all real. These are real people, and it's real suffering, and it endures.
And I'm always curious about like your most challenging scene or moment, because sometimes you think it's going to be something like that, and other times it's a scene where you have to walk in a room and like put a glass down that you just can't get right. Yeah. What was your biggest challenge on, how many weeks did you shoot? 9 weeks?
Something like that. I can't even bloody remember now. But the moment that still makes me laugh when I see it is there's a moment, it might be in the 2nd or 3rd episode, where the boys all steal some steak from the Japanese kitchen, and they give it to Dorogo as a gift, and he doesn't want to accept the gift because he wants to ration the food, and they won't take no, and we're all sitting at a table, and Justin, who's a big bearded sort of intimidating gentleman when he wants to be, was sat right in front of me. We'd done the scene, and I was doing the kind of Dorogo thing, like saying no thank you and pushing it away and being very subtle and understated. And he said, he's like, cry. And I was like, what? And he was like, cry at the steak. It's like, this is the first piece of meat. You want it more than anything, you need to cry. He's like, this steak needs to be what breaks you. And I was like, well, I actually think, Justin, that he actually breaks later when Amy and this, and then when his best friend dies, I think all that trauma is when we should break once, we shouldn't break the whole time. And Justin's like, fucking cry.
Greatest direction
cry
ever.
every fucking thing, cry over the steak, you can't. And then he poked the boys, and they started being like, just eat the steak, just cry, just eat the steak. Why won't you cry over the steak? Like, what, you can't fucking act? What? And then he was like, you come in here with all these big ideas and you want to... And then I was like, I don't want that fucking steak. I hit the steak away. And I was so angry, and I walked off. And I slumped down and sat in the mud for a bit, like... And then we were watching the show, and then there's this moment where Dorogo hits the thing, and all his sinews burst out of his neck, throws the thing, and I went, and Justin looked over, and he was looking at me, and he went, ha. And so it was this incredible, there was this moment where I was like, I'm done with this, I can't. He's wrong, I know I'm right. And he was right. Because he's a great director and I'm a stupid little actor. But that to me is I remember that because there's something amazing that happens when you're wrong. You know, you're so afraid of being wrong all the time, especially in performance when you show up and you're putting yourself on the line. You don't want to be wrong, so you prepare in a way that you can't be wrong. And it's such a cliche, but the most wonderful things happen when you let yourself be wrong and when you realize that you were wrong and that there is something bigger than your sort of great ideas happening, that there is, there is other things that you have missed, you know.
Also, it sounds like Justin's just always right. Every single time.
He is a deeply sensitive artist, and I mean, I hope I get to be in his sort of cinematic world for a long time because he's arguably my favorite filmmaker alive.
No, he's fantastic.